Hi, I'm Neil Chris, and I'm gonna do some snacking and yakking with Big Ken. With Big Ken.
Ken Bennedy.
Big Ben Kennedy.
That's right. I got Neil Chris right here. Comic Life Productions Neil Chris. I've had the joy of doing some shows with him, and today I have the joy of sharing some of his favorite snacks. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. Thanks for
Good.
having me, man.
Pleasure to have you.
Yeah.
I told you about this when I did your show at High Score Brewing. Awesome show, by the way.
Thank you.
Great place. I bought a pint glass before I left. I have no problem with video games and beer. That's for darn sure.
It's a nice place. High Score. Hi, Tony. Thanks for Tony for having us. We've been there for like 6 or 7 months now, and they love comedy, and so that was part of the thing. We do comedy every Friday there.
Now, is that a hard thing, being on the booking side of things? I could never really pull that off. I only booked maybe a couple of rooms, and only for special events. I never could do like a weekly. But is it hard to find a place that wants to stick with you? Like, is that the main thing? Because you feel like you live by week to week. Am I right in that regard?
Yeah, so the problem, well, it's not a problem. The thing is, consistency. You need to know a lot of comics so that they can come to the shows and perform. Also, you need to bring value to the venue, right? Because they're only interested in selling beers.
Gotcha.
So they're interested in how many people you can bring. So I kind of like the selling point there is like, hey, I could bring a bunch of comics. The comics bring people,
Gotcha.
and so the mixture of their clientele plus the comics plus what the comics bring, and you get the results. They see the end result, and they're happy.
Gotcha.
So you just gotta like prove your worth.
True. Feel free to talk to me.
Oh yeah, I'm just like where do I look?
You're
There's
fine.
so many cameras.
You're
Anyway, yeah. So it's
because I always wonder that because definitely you want to thank a place like High Score or thank a place anywhere that has stuck with you for a considerable amount of time.
Oh yeah,
because
of course.
I had a show with you very recently that had to get pulled out because the place needs to do some other stuff, and then they're going to come back to you in the fall or whatever.
Oh yeah. Well, the problem
Like
with
the
that,
summertime was hard because if the business dips
Mhm.
and you can't we can't guarantee them massive crowds here in the Charleston area because we're competing with so much stuff. New restaurants. Every time you turn around, there's a new restaurant. Something is happening in this town. So yeah, I imagine the competition's pretty stiff.
I mean, the problem with that specific place you mentioned, they just opened.
Got
So
you.
they kind of like had a rough week, and then like the owner was like, "Oh, we got to pull back. We'll wait for
Right.
live entertainment like in
Right.
2 months." I'm like, "All right, cool."
So because I've been told by people I know who have owned restaurants or started restaurants, they say you're lucky if you can get the ink to turn black within the first 2 to 3 years. You're kind of chasing, you're behind the 8 ball, as they say. And
Well, the cool thing is that they already own a location, and they're just expanding.
got you.
So we already have a show in their other location.
Got you.
This is Cedar Creek Tavern, by the way. We're there every Tuesday. And we've been
Nice.
there like at the same time that we started in High Score. And those two clubs have really liked the comedy we bring.
That's a neighborhood bar to me. It's not
Yeah.
far from my house. I
Yeah.
remember when it used to be called Tracy's too. And as a matter of fact, when it went on the market, my wife and I contemplated, refinancing the house because we bought our house during the crash in 2011. So our house has a lot of value. So we considered refinancing to buy Tracy's too, because we looked at it, it was pretty much turnkey. Now they've done a lot to change it around. They used to have the checkerboard floors, used to have like a totally different
They
thing.
revamped the whole
They've
place.
hardwood floored it out and all kinds of stuff. But anyway, so we had looked at that. So when it happened, we went over there to see it after it became Cedar Creek. And I had performed there. I was like, you got to see the place. They really did some cool things.
No,
with
and the
it.
funny thing is when you drive by it, you're like, this is the sketchiest strip mall
Yeah,
I've
it
ever
is.
seen in my
Yeah.
life. And you're like, that's where we're having the show. And then when you go in, it's like, oh shit, this
Well,
place is
it probably.
I mean, we can
we can
say
cuss.
shit, right?
Fuck it.
Oh, okay.
So the thing is that new neighborhood that's going up behind it, I think that's going to start changing that area quite a bit because the big shopping center across the street had gotten demolished. There used to be a Winn-Dixie or a Piggly Wiggly. It used to be something. There was we had a great Chinese food place. Was it Fang Lin? Oh, It was I was like, oh, should we have done that? That's happened to me twice in my life here. I went to a Little Caesars in Mount Pleasant. I bought the lunch combo, which is just kind of like half a deep dish and a soda. And then we drove by it the next day and it was gone. I'm talking the sign was off the thing and I'm going, okay, so should we have eaten there? But that's the truth. So it's going to revamp that area. I don't know what they're doing. I know they're building that big fire station across the street.
Yeah.
So then that little fire station will go. And then, I mean, they're probably going to expand, and that little strip might turn into something pretty awesome
Getting
here
very
soon.
gentrified.
Well, I don't know that it was. I mean, West Ashley tends to be a pretty white place. I don't know that that's.
Dude,
I think North Charleston is your fear on that.
I mean,
front.
it's funny because I'm Puerto Rican, right? And I moved here to Charleston a year ago,
Okay.
and Charleston is so white. I felt like I was black.
I
That's how white it is down
yeah.
here.
I came from Baltimore, Maryland. And Baltimore metropolitan area, the city in particular, was like 65-35 black to white. When we moved here, it's the opposite. It's 65-35 white to black. And I definitely noticed the difference.
I mean, Charleston is kind of like if LA and Texas made out and had a baby, and then Charleston came out. But you know, only the white people from LA and Texas had a baby. And that's Charleston.
It's a definitely different place. It is so I have a love. I can't say hate because I don't hate Charleston at all, but I have a love
dislike
kind of
relationship.
a love kind of apathetic towards it, but I do like the people. I'm working as a paramedic. I do love to serve the people who live here. I do love to serve our vets. I like doing what I do for the people here, but I think just the day-to-day average person I could do without.
But the people that you know, you're an EMT, right?
Paramedic, yeah.
Paramedic. So when you're doing your paramedic stuff, like, do you encounter like so many people that are not from Charleston?
Yes.
It's like
It
nobody's
the running
actually-
joke when I first moved here, being from Maryland, was that everybody was from Ohio.
It
And
still is.
It was not wrong because they didn't have to change their tags over immediately. Like when I moved here, I pretty much couldn't roll with Maryland tags. Like I had to get South Carolina tags within like 30 days or something like that. Once you change your address, Maryland's like, well, Ohio's like, you can keep tags for a year for all we give a shit. So all these cars are driving around here with those Ohio tags, and it started getting to people really bad. Like they were like miffed about it. Like really
I feel
mad.
like the Ohio people moved everybody from Charleston to Somerville or something like that.
Yeah, and now it's moving up. It's moving up to the Cane Bay, Nexton area. That's going to be the Mount Pleasant of the North.
I mean, Charleston, I like it because it has like the downtown area and all the buildings, like the architecture. You know, the architecture is really beautiful down here.
That's why I couldn't do my studio up there. When I had the opportunity to do a studio, Goose Creek was available, and all these different places were available. I said, I want to be closer to the peninsula. One, it's easier to grab guests, but two, the location, you can't beat.
Yeah.
It's so nice.
I love West Ashley. Like it's centric, and you could just go anywhere through the city. We have an airport, so like it's easier to
couple exits away, you know, up the interstate.
It's really easy for me to go like to hop on a plane, go to it. Like it's very like centered.
And it would be easy for me to snag somebody who was arriving by plane to come hang out with me before they checked into their hotel on the peninsula and got ready for their show.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, before we continue, let's talk about your favorite snack. This is interesting. I've had so far, it's been Cheez-Its.
Okay.
It's been the cookies with the hazelnut. Apples wanted the Purolines.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about? They're like little cigars.
Oh, okay.
They have
I've
the
heard of
hazelnut
those.
chocolate. Yeah. So, and pralines have been one. I guess, the pretzel sticks and popcorn. But this, I said, so what do you want? And it was a typo on your end. You said Haribo Twin Snacks.
Oh, I said Twin Snacks?
And I'm
like,
like,
I'm sorry.
What are Haribo Twin Snacks?
That was voice to text.
Because a little known fact, Haribo, now this is distributed in Rosemont, but Haribo headquarters are in Baltimore, Maryland. So we know Haribo gummies very well. But the Haribo Twin Snakes, I have never seen before. I've seen gummy worms. I've seen gummy, but I've never seen these twin snakes.
So you've never tried them before?
I have never. This will be the first time.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I feel
and
special
they say
now.
that they're
I'm
share
popping
size.
your cherry.
No. Listen. They say they're share size. Do you want to keep one bag for you?
Dude,
We'll
they
open
say
one
share
bag.
size, but this was actually before. This was the actual bag that cost like $1,
Okay.
and then they turned them into share size. Like,
So what you're
no.
saying is you have no desire to share.
I mean, we could share them.
No,
like,
I just-
I'm on a diet, so we could share
Okay,
this
tell you
one
what,
bag.
save those though. Don't open
Oh,
them.
okay,
You
I'll
can
take-
take those home with you.
I'll
Put them
take-
over there,
All right.
and we'll divvy these up in these little bowls.
Because
that
these
I've
are
got.
actually so bad for you. Yeah. Like, I think if RFK saw this bag, he'd snag
Oh
it
God,
from
he'd
me.
snap. There you go.
Thank you, man.
Oh, look at that. Okay, so they're in essence 2 gummy worms stuck together.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, do they have a different taste per each thing?
Maybe.
Maybe. Let's see. Let's see. You sure this wasn't just like a factory mix-up that they were just like, let's do it?
I mean, I like them because you know how they have, the sour gummies, but they're all full of like this sugar stuff.
This is the sour one.
And they're all sour.
Okay.
It was kind of like the same. Like I like the gummy bears, but these have like the same consistency of the normal gummy bears, but they're a little sour. So,
Got you.
and they don't have that extra sugar shit on the top.
Now, do you want to talk about the original snack you were thinking of?
Oh,
Oh, and to wash this down, Cherry Coke Zero. Because
we gotta watch our
you gotta
weight.
have your sugar with your you gotta have your sugar with your sugar free.
My original snack is called diabetes in a plate. Like,
Yes.
so I used to do this thing where I would take a bowl of Fruity Pebbles and I put marshmallows in them. Then I would take like lemon sorbet ice cream and just mix it all together. And then on top of that, put honey over it. But before the honey, it was just normal syrup. And just put the syrup, just mix it and just fucking.
I stood there with you. I said, "Hey man, I'm launching this podcast starting in like May."
Disgusting.
I said, I just signed the lease on the place for the studio. And and you said, really? So it's going to be a serious operation. I've got, I'm ordering the furniture. And you were like, all right, man, I'm looking forward to it. And I said, and I'd like you to be a guest. And you said, done. I said, so what I do is I do the favorite snack. I pitched it all to you exactly as it is. I mean, I sold you on nothing wrong, right?
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
exactly what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So hold on.
Don't cry about it.
So I turn around and I pitch you on it, and you say, I said, so what would be your favorite snack? Well, it's the thing I used to do back in the day, and you kept adding to this, and I'm going, is he fucking with me? Like, is this real? Like, I'm listening, I'm like, I think he's trying to kill me. He's like, I want to see you fail your A1C labs, motherfucker. I didn't know what was going on because it was just, and it seemed like you were trying to do a funny like elf breakfast spaghetti thing. I was like, is he truly?
I mean, I really did that, and I had to stop.
Yeah.
I had to stop.
Yeah.
My mom hated it when she said, "What are you doing in the kitchen?" Like, oh, and she would take this bowl from me and stuff. I was like
Gosh.
10 years old.
That is great.
It's like, oh my god, it just tastes like it's just all the sugar rush.
So it was real.
yeah.
Man, that's crazy.
The last time I did it was back in 2022 or something like that.
So-
I was like, I did it just to, and then I was like, nah, I shouldn't do this anymore. I
So
had,
you
like-
didn't give this up as a kid. You were just like, when I get out from underneath her thumb, I'm going to eat all this bullshit I want.
Yeah, and then I found out, no, that's not good for your health, Neil. You gotta stop.
That's funny stuff,
You
man.
gotta stop.
So getting back to your business, I know you came from music.
Mm-hmm.
So your dad had a recording studio. You also, he also played in bands, right? Or
Yeah,
something-
it comes all the way from my grandfather.
So what did your grandfather?
So my grandfather, he plays guitar and he sang,
Okay.
and he had this what they call in Puerto Rican a trio,
Okay.
and so it's kind of like bohemian kind of stuff.
Okay.
And it was him and his brother-in-law and another guy, and they would all three of them like play and whatever, and their children picked up music and art and all that, and then their children, which is me and my cousins, they all do acting, photography,
Gotcha.
music. I had one cousin who was an actor, director, and did comedy. But
That's
all
wild.
of my family got married and they kind of quit. So I'm the only one that's actually
Chasing
out
that
there.
performer or
y-
entertainment dream.
Yeah, there's two cousins. There's two cousins on my dad's side. I mean, all of these cousins and family are from my dad's side. Two of them,
Busy boys.
these two girls.
Oh,
One of
okay.
them, one of my
I'm talking
youngest.
about the guys who keep creating the kids.
Oh yeah, they're busy. I mean, my grandfather had 5 kids, and those 5 kids, each one had like two.
Okay.
Except one of my aunt has 4 daughters.
Jiminy.
And then out of those 4 daughters, 2 of them are very musically inclined. Like one of them, her name's Susan. She plays drums and she sings. She plays guitar,
Female
bass,
drummers are
and she
awesome.
records stuff. She get even like I think one of her songs got picked up by Disney, and she gets like a huge
Awesome.
residual or something. And then my
Awesome.
other cousin, well, actually, out of the 4 female cousins, one became a lawyer and the other 3 sing. So that they kind of like one of them is kind of retired, but she comes back to it. Her name's Gabby. Like she'll sing and then she'll like, oh, I'll just go back to yoga. But Savannah and Susan. So Susan plays all the instruments and sings, and Savannah. She's kind of like a hybrid of Nicki Minaj and Whitney Houston. Like she sings and raps, and she's beautiful. She's gorgeous, and she's now kind of like picking it up. Like she just had 2 kids. She's like, I don't know how old she is now. She's probably like 25 or something,
Okay.
and she's coming back to
That's
sing.
awesome.
And I think maybe Susan's gonna do her tracks or whatever. And so we all love art and music. So we've always been doing
Awesome.
that. We've always been doing that.
I am the only creative one in my family, pretty much. Like
Mm.
nobody in my family does any of that stuff, and but I've always kind of been the alien.
I mean, my dad still gigs.
That's awesome.
He was at a gig last night in He lives in Puerto Rico, and he's like his band. He's in a cover band like top 40s.
Nice.
And but before that, he's been like when I was growing up, he had an original 80s glam rock band. So he would pick me up at school with like eyeliner and the long hair, looking like Richie Sambora. And I would tell, but when I was a kid, and he came with his brim hat and his long trench coat, I would tell all my friends, "My dad's the Undertaker. Don't fuck with me, or he'll fucking tombstone your ass." And so they wouldn't mess with me in school. And my dad then, like when we moved to Puerto Rico, he stopped doing the glam thing and he went into like a blues band. He was the only blues band in Puerto Rico.
Very
So
cool.
he got, just because of that, when BB King came once to Puerto Rico, he opened for BB King and we got to meet him
That's
and
cool.
stuff. And so I started doing music because in Puerto Rico, you can't do stand up.
Really?
Yeah, because I mean you can, but the culture there is if you do stand up, they're gonna heckle you, right?
Okay.
During your everybody's gonna heckle you during your set, and you can't tell people to shut up or snap back at them, because if you do, they'll just kick you off stage. So you have to
Wow.
roll with the punches, self-deprecation. If they're heckling you on something, then you go okay, and like with improv where you just go okay and you keep going. So and I was like, I ain't doing that, because
That's rough.
my intro to stand up was really my dad. Since I was 3 years old, he would turn on the TV, and whatever was on that was funny, like he'd let me watch SNL, and he would explain why the jokes were funny while I was growing up. He would tell me why they were laughing, and he would explain words that I didn't understand, and that's how I kind of like grew into loving stand up.
Very cool.
And I always wanted to try it, but I never did until I moved to Savannah in 2021, and I was like very depressed because I had to get rid of my music business because of COVID.
Yeah.
And so I was just, getting a normal job down here, and I stumbled into this bar. They had an open mic. Like, you can just go up and do comedy at an
Right.
open mic? Really? And so I was like, let me just do
Was this not a comedy? It's primarily a music one, or was it a comedy
No,
one?
it was a comedy mic.
Okay, okay.
It's a totally awesome bar in Savannah.
Okay.
They've been running this mic for 7 years now.
Gotcha.
Shout out Brandon Towen. He's
Okay.
been running it for like 7 years.
I might have to head on down, man.
And
I've never played Savannah in all my travels.
He actually taught me how to be a host. He let me host like
cool.
my first time. And the thing about comedy in Savannah, when I learned, like when I discovered it, before I went on the first time, I was like, let me do some research and see if I can, be funny and like how do I construct like a good set.
Right.
And I started watching Kill Tony, and I was like, I ain't fucking going up there because I can't.
Yeah,
I don't know if
that
I can be
is-
funny for a minute. So I started.
Yeah.
It took me like 3 months to actually go and perform.
Did you go to Kill Tony?
No.
Oh, okay. Phew.
I-
You're a brave man, man.
It would take me. It took me 3 months to
You
actually
get up the nerve to just do it
Yeah,
at all.
yeah. So I started
Ah.
writing, and I started slipping jokes into conversations with friends and stuff to see if it worked. If the joke bombed, I just can move forward with the conversation. But if they laughed, I was like, all right, I'll use that. and I'll use
You know,
this.
keep that in the keep that
And
in the
that's what I
safe.
do. I talk to people and I slip in jokes, and that's my open mic.
Now is your I mean now okay, your age. You don't want to tell it
Ah, we
or
could tell it. Look, I'm gonna be 40 in October.
youngin, freaking youngin.
Young. Oh, thank
Do
you.
you know how old I am?
I don't know, like 80.
Yeah, 80. You got it. I'm the most young-looking 80-year-old you'll ever meet.
Yeah, I want to look like you when I'm 80.
No, I'm 47.
Nice.
So yeah, and
Nice.
actually my comeback into comedy was actually with you at Odyssey
Oh, really?
Bottle.
You came back. That was your first show
I
after
think
your
maybe
hiatus?
I did a open mic at Wits End. Maybe Apples was trying to drag me out
Mhm.
into it.
You and Apples are buddies from way back, right?
Yeah. He was one like
Shout out
the
Apples.
first friend I had when I came to like in comedy when I came to town, and he's just lasted this whole entire time. Like he was kind of him and Big Ike Smalls were like the first people I met in comedy in this town, and we still know each other to this day, which is really cool.
Meeting Apples was pretty cool for me because he points out some, like, I've learned a lot because he always points some cool, like,
Right.
the devil's in the details, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So he would always just tell me like 2 or 3 things every time he saw me, and with that was like enough for like a whole month of new stuff for me.
And just the same as I did with your show, I said, "Hey man,
Oh yeah, you
maybe
gave
we
me the
tweak it and do
idea.
that." And then you wrote me back. You were like, "We did it. Turned out great." And it's like if you understand that the person suggesting it, if they're a decent person, some people are.
It's always
dicks.
coming from a good place.
It would be if you were somebody like Apples has run promotions, so have I. Like I said, him more than me. He used to have some rooms back here, stand up, get down. He used to run some things, like This Is Chucktown or something. He had a couple of shows he would do back in the day. I can't be sure if This Is Chucktown was him, but we understand at least how to make it work, or I've been a part of enough of the people trying to make it work to see what eventually did make it work.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I saw that about you, I was like, hey man, you give it a try like this. And you were listening, you were like, yeah, I mean, that sounds good. And then you wrote me back and said, holy crap,
It worked.
because we're like keeping the asses in the seats, and
Yeah.
I was like, don't,
Well, so
effectively
everybody
blow
knows
your
what we're
wad,
talking about.
blow your
though.
wad
Let
in the
me-
beginning.
Let me explain. So it's that I'm doing this show in high school. Before it was just an open mic, and then I decided to, hey, I have a little bit more budget. Maybe I'll bring in some features and then like do a competition. And then the first night I did the open mic competition, but I did the open mic first, and then I put the features at the end. Once the open micers won their prize, everybody fucking left and left all the features like by themselves to perform to like 4 people.
I was there
So
performing to
yeah, and then Ben's like, hey,
3,
you know
4
what?
people.
Why don't you leave the winner till the end? And then I was like, all right, we'll do that. Sound
Yeah, I
that
was
makes
like-
more sense.
I was like, scatter your features throughout. That way, if your open micers, by no fault of their own, they're new.
mm-hmm.
But if your open micers are sucking wind and nobody's really laughing, even the people they brought are kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
then you've got a person, a guy or gal who's done this a bit to get up there and bring that crowd in, and then the next guys. And also, it's kind of advantageous for the people following. Nobody has to go too deep in the order of no laughter, of that abyss.
Mm-hmm.
So if like the host got up and he sets it up with a great 5-10 up front,
Mhm.
the next 2 or 3 comics get to try and ride that wave, get to try and keep that flow going. If they lose it out, you get the next guy. The next guys
It's
have a
kind of
chance.
like a Kill Tony kind of thing where they have the regulars and then they
Mhm.
have the open micers in between, but the regulars reset the tone of the room.
Correct.
And so
It keeps the butts in the seats,
mhm.
keeps everybody entertained. And
keeps
that-
everybody from leaving. So
Okay.
yeah, but the show's been very successful. I can't complain. Last night we had a great show.
Nice.
It was packed. I bought a new neon sign.
I know, you
That
showed
sign
me.
makes such a difference. Cedar Creek, right? When you're doing Cedar Creek Tavern, it's kind of hectic because there's a bar and
Yeah,
the
you're just
regulars.
in
they
front
have-
of like this.
yeah,
You're in front of like just a regular boring curtain,
You-
right?
we're in front of a regular boring curtain, and then the crowd just doesn't shut up, even
Right.
though there's comedy. But this week, this is the first time I put up the sign.
Mhm.
I put the sign up, and when it was time for the show, I turn on the sign, and they see that neon thing go Comic Life, and everybody just stood silent
That's awesome.
just because of a stupid sign.
You're drunk and it's like a bug light. You're
and they're
like,
like, "Ah." And then oh, we're doing oh my God. And then like after the show, everybody was like, wow, you guys are so amazing. Like ever since you guys started, I've been here and every show gets better and better and better just because of a fucking sign.
Hey, man. But that trick, I mean, that thing that you learned, now you take to other places, and you know that sign also just gives some legitimacy to the proceedings. Like it makes it seem like, holy crap, just like this. I mean, not to toot my own horn, but like,
no, this is like when I saw the studio, I was like, whoa.
How many podcasts will you go on where who made fun of me? Who said that? Somebody, I don't know if it was on the air, but one of them said, I thought it'd be like two people sitting at a dinner table, which is fine.
Yeah,
and it's doable.
Yeah, you could do that. That's kind of like what I do with my setup. I'm at a dinner table.
And you told me your setup. You said at your house. And
I said, a sign behind me.
And I said, I would gladly do your podcast.
Nice.
We'll cross-promote it. Do you have a name for yours?
Comic Life.
Comic Life.
It's just Comic Life.
So, look out for me on Comic Life very soon. And then, and we'll link it up so they'll see you here. And then when I get on your podcast, we'll mention that you're also over here and vice versa.
Nice.
But yeah, that's what they had said, man, you really created kind of like a cozy environment where it's like you start to ignore that nothing exists past the end of this snack printed rug. And it's just like, oh yeah, that part's boring. I've shown that in the behind the scenes on my Patreon. It's really unimpressive on this angle. But
they don't need to know.
Yeah, but here, if you sign up, you get the behind the scenes looks. But yeah, it's I wanted people to feel like you're sitting in a cozy chair, you're sitting in somebody's, in essence, living room without my wife losing her mind that she has to make sure the house is perfectly clean and has to make sure that the animals are quiet or fed or outside.
Up at your house.
Correct. And now they know where I live.
Yeah.
So I piss them off and now they're like, I'll be back,
Oh, talking about your studio and stuff, something you told me to bring you like a little memorabilia. I thought about giving
there
you
you go. So is this the logo that also is the neon sign? Well, there you go. Look at that. Right there. I'll put a close up on that. So yeah, I usually wait closer to the end, but hey, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it at all. Let's see. I have a hat on this side already.
You want me to place it over here somewhere?
Place it at the top. Take that spot right up there at the top.
Let me do that real quick.
Yeah, man. There you go.
There you go.
Oh, look at that.
Nice.
So now,
promo.
Yeah. This is all going to get rearranged. I'm going to definitely
keep it for 3 more episodes.
No. I want to start to bring the things that the guests bring me down and my stuff up. I want to trade it so that way on your camera angle stuff can still be seen.
Oh, okay.
But the problem with that is because that's why there is no shelf. There is no shelf back here behind you.
Have to add one in the middle.
Maybe. But there's no shelf but way down low on the spot behind you, but that's where your head's going to be. So I thought we don't need anything right there. But we can decorate all this stuff. It's going to look really good. It's going to get too full. I am going to have to add another shelf, and that's fine. Stuff's going to start existing here and here, and I don't care.
Even Rogan's big table is full of junk.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe we'll just get a coffee table. We'll get a coffee table, and that'll start getting full. Why not? More table, more snacks, more. We can make your thing, your fucking Fruity Pebbles, diabetes bowl.
That shit. I thought about it. I was like, and then like the urge because I'm an addict. All right, I have an addictive personality, and I know myself. And like I'm gonna keep sipping this Coke Zero. I haven't bought Coke Zero like in a year.
Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure that after this, when I go do grocery shopping, I'm gonna buy a few 6-packs.
Yeah, man. Well, I got more for you to take when you go.
Oh no.
Yeah, this is a 6-pack of bottles, man. There's 4 to go with you. Did you crack one open, Bug? Okay, so there's 4 to go with you when you leave. They're in the cooler over there.
He's like, I don't want that shit. Oh,
no, he's got his coffee.
But save it for later.
He stopped over and got himself breakfast and a coffee on his way to the studio. So, but yeah. So, talking about let's get away. I mean, the booking thing that's your hustle. You do it like no other. But I'm talking about. You had recently told me that you wanted to focus more on your comedy side of things, like your actual stand-up.
Mm-hmm.
And is that something that you find hard to stick with as you're more worried about the business and cultivating the talent that's gonna, stick with you, that's gonna, you can get lost in the business side of things and neglect your personal brand in it. But now you said, because you were going to go to some open mics separate, but you were like, yeah, I don't feel very, very welcomed. And then you were like, well, maybe I should do some material. I'll cut this out of my material. So I wondered about that for you and for bookers in particular. At what point do you like say, okay, without my logo, without anything, Neil Chris stepping up on stage, what do I bring? Because it's very easy to play in your own yard, but when you start stepping into the other yards, so what's that been like for you?
So I started just recently. I was like, all right, so Comic Life is already, moving itself, and because the reason why I created Comic Life was because there's a lot of gatekeeping going on in a lot of places, right?
I will not disagree.
And then I'm like, and I see these really funny comedians that just don't get opportunities.
That's true.
And like, these guys should be getting paid. And I'm like, well, when I was coming up, nobody taught me anything. And I had to just like struggle. I mean, the only person that taught me were like a handful of people.
Right.
Like I mentioned, Brendan Tone from Savannah.
Right.
He was very helpful. Who else? I had this guy called Hector Benitez. He's not doing comedy anymore. He's still a comic, but I haven't seen him anymore. Thanks to him, I started hosting this open mic in Savannah called El Rocco Lounge. This venue, that's a really cool place.
Still exist?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's so there's an open mic every Monday.
Things flip here in Charleston so often.
Oh,
That's why I don't believe that in other places anything exists for very long. But in Charleston, you like that restaurant? Better eat at it fast, because in 3 months it'll be something else.
And so, but El Rocco's been there for years. It's really known for its rock and roll shows. On the weekends, it gets packed. But during the week, like, it's empty. So on Mondays, they would let us do an open mic. And when Hector gave the open mic to me, I started hosting it. But when I moved to Charleston, I gave it to M-Joy, who's hosting it right now. M-Joy is this funny comedian from Savannah.
Yeah.
And when I met her,
he's done your they've done your shows because I've seen them on the flyer.
And so M-Joy, when I gave her the open mic, she's only been doing comedy for 3 months, but she was out of all the comics in Savannah, was the only one that was responsible, very likable to everybody. And even though like her comedy, like, how music, like you'll say, oh, I like this type of music, but I respect this band. It's not my cup of tea, but they're really good.
Right.
Well, that's kind of like that's how I feel towards her. It's like her comedy is not my cup of tea, but I see how she writes her jokes. I see how she gets her pops in the crowd. I was like, this girl has potential. So hey, here's this open mic. Maybe this will help you. And she's just flown off the rails.
Weekly. Like, she's got a guaranteed gig every single week that she's going to write new material for every single week.
And now she's been doing tremendous. Like, she gets booked in Florida, and she'll go to North Carolina. She comes up, like, I'll book her on my shows.
She's
awesome. She's a funny girl, like, and she's very likable. And shout out M-Joy.
M-Joy, stick around. I might be reaching out to you.
Yeah,
to come,
you should have her on.
Sit in the chair.
And so the cool thing about El Rocco, I learned how to host and whatever. And then when I moved to Charleston, Wits End wasn't open yet.
Yeah.
And so they only had one open mic a week.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I need.
That was Tin Roof, right?
Yeah.
Shauna's place.
Yeah.
Well, Shauna books it. Shauna Jarrett.
It's so funny. The way I met Shauna was very funny, because I remember the first time I went to Tin Roof, she was hosting, but she had a sore throat, right? She was talking kind of like this. And then like so I like to joke around, but so I went up.
Yeah, I know you like to joke around. I'll wait. Between you and Celeste, let me save what I'm about to say. All right.
I went up on stage and I said, let's give it up for your host, RFK Jr. transitioned into a woman and doing comedy. Let's give it up. Got a big pop and some. And then after that, she was so mad.
Yeah, I don't think she wants to be compared to any Republican ever. She's that's not her thing.
I was just joking, Shauna. Really, you're a cool person.
Yeah. My flat caps. You wear them, I wear them. Yours are different, but mine are flat caps from Ireland. Bought them in Ireland. I like to wear them. Between you and Celeste calling it a train conductor hat or whatever you guys kept doing, I said. You did it at Rick House. You did it at
that was Celeste.
Cedar Creek. Was it Celeste? That little shit.
That was Celeste. That guy's.
Oh, look at you! What are you about to conduct a train? And I'm like, dude, it's a flat cap. Like, it's literally like the classic Irishman, like, countryside hat. And he's like, woo, woo. And I'm like, you're an idiot. He could not leave it alone. And then he gets up to introduce me and he goes, coming on stage, fresh off the rails. I'm like, you're a dick. You're an absolute dick.
That was him, yeah. I use hats like that, but that was when in my musician days, right? I kind of stopped using it since he called you a
Train
you're gonna
conductor,
get train conductors. I was like, I ain't using this no more.
Oh, no.
I mean, I use hats all the time, but it's summertime. I want my bald head to get some sun.
And you wear the hat, and I wear the hat, and then I took off my hat at a show, and people were like, "Oh my God, you have hair!" So apparently, the flat cap is a bald man's hat. I wear them
I wear them because I'm bald. So
see, I had no idea. I had no idea. That cracked me up. They were so shocked.
People are shocked when they see me take my off. They're like, "You have no hair." Like, sorry.
Well, I mean, you got a lot.
Yeah, I got my fro here.
Right. It would imagine you got hair on your arms, hair on your face. It would imagine, but like, I guess they're thinking that I'm losing it everywhere except my face or something.
You don't want to see my bush, dude.
I don't. But the Patreon, hey, patreon.com/Snackin Yakkin. Maybe we'll have a behind the scenes photo.
Or you can follow me on
bush.
OnlyFans. I have a reverse OnlyFans.
Somebody I know uses the Patreon as an OnlyFans.
But yeah, I know that person.
That's
know who you're talking
crazy to me.
Have you ever heard of the reverse OnlyFans?
No.
That's when I send you dick pics and you pay me to stop.
Oh, the reverse OnlyFans. I like it. That would be like if I were at a strip club and I start off in just my underwear or just a Speedo
to get dressed.
and then I put on my pants and they're just throwing money at me. They're like, yeah,
get dressed faster.
And then I put on my shirt. You know, it was like, woo! That'd be so stupid, but it would be a good skit. It'd be a good skit. I would look probably as embarrassed as Farley did in that Chippendales one.
Oh shit, that's legendary.
Yeah, he didn't look very comfortable in that skit, and I would probably look the same exact
pants
way.
Were so tight.
When we're on vacation as a family, I'll wear a bathing suit, nothing else, you know. But typically, I need to wear a tank top or I need to do this because of the sun. I've been that classic excuse. But as I get older,
in the summer, dude.
As I get older, I don't care anymore. No, I'm talking about covering up.
Oh,
covering up. But now it's like, man, we go on vacation. We were at like Universal.
You'll just let it hang out.
I'm like, nobody gives a shit. And I'll wear damn shorts and just jump in. We were at Great Wolf. I was like, who cares?
That comes with age when you stop caring about it.
What's up, Boog?
I don't know if you could really call that Grey Wolf trip out in the public. We were like the only two people in that entire area.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't very packed.
And Mom and Bridget was too young to really do a whole lot.
But it was fun. I thought we were going to die.
Yeah.
Look, there's a thing, a tornado. Like, okay, if you've ever seen it, some places they have this like cone.
Mm-hmm.
And what you do is you come out in the middle of the cone and you kind of do one of these. It looks almost like a giant half pipe with the top. And you do like this until you eventually get down the bottom. Well, I ain't tiny. He ain't tiny. My son's not my weight by any stretch. But we're two big boys. And I'm on the back end. I was going backwards.
Yeah, you were going backwards at first.
Okay. We come down the tube. And as we're coming down the tube, we switch backwards. And now I'm like this. We go up the side, and there are jets that keep the water going. We went up past those jets. That's how much force we came down with. I'm holding on to the handles. I swear to God, I look straight down. I see my son's head. And this was when you were like 11. This was like 8 years ago, maybe 7 or 8 years ago. I look at my son's head and the freaking bottom, and I'm holding on those handles, and I said, do not let go, right? We hit the other side. He goes up. We are looking at each other like this, and we finally make it down to the bottom, and when we make it down to the bottom, if you saw me, I said, my hands were freaking shaking.
Holding on to dear life.
I was just like, whew, I was like, I'm not doing that again. And you were like, neither am I. Like, that was so funny. I thought for sure we'd be the first fuckers who would complete the loop. We'd be the first people who actually flipped it and landed on our faces. But I got a lot of weight. Now, I can't do the water slides. So I got on the inner tube and I went down the water slide at Wanamaker Park in North Charleston.
Yeah.
As soon as I came around the first turn, I hit that thing with such velocity, I went upside down. The tube left me, and I landed in the thing. So I'm doing my best to ride. And so my family's waiting for me at the bottom of this tube. And what they get is an inner tube. And they're like, where's Dad? And about 4 minutes later, I'm pulling myself. I'm pulling myself because there's not enough water. There's not enough jets to keep my ass. I'm wider than the stream. So I'm like,
that reminds me, you talking about tubes and stuff. Like I have claustrophobia for those tubes and slides and stuff because when I was a kid, you remember Discovery Zone? Do you remember that?
I'm gonna refer you to my album that came out in 2006.
So you do remember Discovery?
There's a thing called Party Puker, Little Party Puker. It's a track on there.
So
I worked at Discovery Zone.
Oh, nice.
That bit is about my time working at Discovery Zone.
Well, this is what happened to me when I was 10 years old. I'm in Discovery Zone, right? And then I want to go down the slide, but this kid decided to go in with it, but this woman got stuck in the slide, and then there's a whole line of kids behind me. And then I don't know who farted in the tube. And then due to the fart, one of the girls that was stuck in the line puked. And then that caused a chain reaction of puke. And the lady that was stuck finally got like all the way to the end. And I was like, I gotta get out of here. That happens a lot.
My bit involves a kid throwing up.
Okay.
Me crawling in this tube to go clean it up, getting stuck, cutting a fart, and blowing myself out the sliding board like a musket.
So it happens a lot, I guess. It's a natural occurrence of Discovery Zone. Maybe that's why they closed down.
No, I don't know why it closed down, but it was so funny because one of the things I say is code 10 in the mega zone, and it's like why code 10? Because if you say puke, vomit, or throw up in a room full of 8-year-olds, you'll start a riot you can't contain. And then I go, why are we giving the asthmatic kid cookies, punch, chocolate, sugar, and telling him to run the hell around? He's just going to throw up in my ball crawl, and I got to clean that thing out by hand.
Dude.
You had to take the balls out and put them in a washing machine.
Oh, that sucks.
And that washed them, and then the whole bottom, the tarp, you had to go ahead and clean that out with like a mop and clean it by hand.
Sounds like a lot of work.
And then you go and get the mesh bags, you put the balls in them, and you dump them back in the thing.
What year was that?
1997, I believe.
So you were doing that, what, for $5.25 an hour?
Shit. Yeah, $5.15.
$5.15, right?
I think $5.15 an hour was the minimum wage.
Then.
Yeah,
minimum wage $5.15.
$5.15 an hour was the minimum. Now, what's insane is, isn't it only $7.25 now?
I mean, if you have a shitty, like, lower than McDonald's job, what's lower than McDonald's?
No, but I'm talking about federally, like the federal minimum wage, I believe, is only like $7.25 or $7.75.
That only servers get that.
Well, that's true, but I'm saying is back in the day, it used to come up. Like I remember my first job was like $3.25, and then it was $3.75, then it was $4.25, and then it was like $5.15.
Then it got to $7.25, and it stopped.
They were like done, and that was like in like 2007 or 2003, and they were like, well, that doesn't need to go up anymore. And here we are, like 22 years later.
Yeah,
and it's like, guys, how about just and every time they mention a minimum wage, everybody's like, that's BS. And it's like, yeah, but aren't you going to pay it anyway to keep people? Because everywhere's going up. Sadly, after the pandemic, if I would have quit EMS before the pandemic hit, I could have gotten a job roughly about anywhere and been okay. But what happened was the pandemic hit, and anybody who was looking to get out of EMS thought to themselves, there's no way I'm dying for this shit. Because we didn't know what COVID was going to do. They said, I'm not dying for this. So they split.
You had to take the vaccine and everything.
Well, yeah.
Keep working.
Female paramedics and female paramedics and EMTs who wanted to get pregnant. There was a question about what COVID would do to unborn babies or to future pregnancies. So they were looking to start a family. They said, I'm out. So a lot of people quit. And it went down to a very, very limited number of us, at least in the South Carolina area, but I think it was nationwide. It was like 10,000 people had signed up for classes, or 47,000 people had signed up for classes. The year that COVID hit, it was like 5,000, or like, it was ridiculous.
When COVID hit in Puerto Rico, I was living in San Juan, which is the major city.
Okay.
And I was like, I ain't dealing with this shit. So I was living in an apartment, and I just rented a place in this place called Yabucoa, which is like the southeast corner, like in the mountains.
Did you say barbacoa? No, I'm just joking.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like barbecue, but no, Jabucoa. And
Yabucoa.
this place was really beautiful, but it was very remote, like in the mountains with a nice beach area and whatever. And it was a small town.
Right.
And during COVID, nobody used masks. Nobody did anything. It was kind of like the Wild West down there. Nobody believed in COVID. Like it was
Right.
like nothing happened. And that's why I moved there. But then like there was no music going on, so I was
Right.
like, oh, I gotta fuck it. I had a music studio. So in 2021, I had this music studio in that little city. Like I rented this place out, had a nice music studio. But you know, during COVID, no, everybody
you.
was. Oh, I'm so
No,
sorry.
it's okay.
I can't control this thing. But well,
You had a little music studio.
oh yeah, so I had my music studio, and I had also a podcast of me dressing up as a tarot card reader.
I remember you telling me about that. You
And-
actually showed me a video on your phone.
Oh yeah. But that's hidden away. So I was actually living off of that, but then I was like, man, I don't want to keep doing this because it's that my niche in the tarot card reading thing was mostly the clientele are ladies in their mid 30s or and above, and mostly tarot card readers are always females, right?
Right.
Or not so masculine guys. And
Right.
so I decided to go with like a button shirt that was open up to here with all my taco meat out. And I was like the most masculine tarot card reader. And I was getting so many clients. I was booked all week.
That's wild.
And it's just women with relationship problems wanting to be heard. I would actually lay the cards out, and then after I would tell them like their future or whatever, and they would just like ask for advice, and I'm talking to them for like an hour and a half. That was a good business.
That's wild. Was that mostly the ladies in Puerto Rico?
No, it was
Oh,
all of. I did women from Canada.
Oh, wow.
I had people in the U.S., Latin America. We had I had Chile, every Latin like old country, and they were paying me. Some people would pay me through PayPal in the other countries, Venmo,
That's
all of
wild.
that. And I just stopped because I wasn't, if I'm gonna do this, I gotta feel like I'm
Right.
spiritually inclined. And I moved to the States, and I don't know, the States took all the spirituality out of me with hard work.
Well, the thing I was just to wrap it up was that, so if you stuck it out through COVID, I always compare it to Forrest Gump's shrimp boat. So that storm came through, destroyed all the shrimp boats in that area.
Mm-hmm.
So then all the shrimp were his.
Mm-hmm.
So we stuck it out. And when we stuck it out, the field was so worried about losing us that the pay went up, 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 up.
Nice.
And now, with a kid in college and stuff like that, now I'm kind of stuck
No.
because I'm not going to be able to go be a manager at Chick-fil-A and probably make the same. It didn't come up as much as nurses. Nurses are still very well paid, but it's come up quite a bit. And now it's like,
No,
man,
everything is crazy.
I should have
man.
jumped out when I when I thought about it in the first place.
It's kind of like me with like I do horticulture.
Yeah.
Right? I'm a horticulturist during the day, and I noticed that a barista, not a barista, but like a manager at Starbucks makes the same money as I do right now.
That's wild.
And I'm like, like I should have just went to something easier. No, I mean my job is cool. Like it's easy. Oh, I'm just driving a truck full of chemicals all around town, and that's it. And I'll just like spray some yards and some bushes and shrubs and whatever.
Gotcha.
And it's a cool job. The only thing is like a lot of hours, and then I get off of my job to do the comedy thing and book, and then so earlier you said like my stand up is it
Yes.
working or whatever.
Yes.
And what I'm trying to do is, so now that Comic Life is running itself, I'm letting other people host the shows, and then I'll do like a 5 or 7 minute spot, like in between the open micers, just
Right,
so I
kind
can
of hiding
practice.
out.
And also, I'm going to Wits End now.
Oh,
And I'm going to
cool.
other open mics. I'm going to Savannah. I'm doing open mics just to
Good.
keep keep it going and writing new material. Like 2 months ago, I was like, man, I hate all my material. It's old.
That's what
I've been doing all the same jokes. I'm tired of them.
yeah,
so I
that's
started
what you
writing.
would talk to me about. That's what
Yeah.
you told me about.
So
Like,
now I got a bunch of new jokes that are working.
very cool.
And it's funny because when I go to Wits End with my new set, and I don't want to brag that I killed, but like I'm getting all the reactions that I wasn't expecting.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, this worked. All right, cool. And that's been the feeling for the last 2 months of, oh, this worked. Oh God.
That's good
And so
feeling.
yeah, it's a great feeling. It's kind of like, and that's motivated me to write more jokes and stuff. And I'm going to New York to perform at this comedy club that they booked me, and it was really cool. And I want to go with like a fresh set. Also, I have a lot of family in New York, so I invited them all, and they're gonna go show up. So that's gonna be fun. I went to Florida a couple of weeks ago, and I think next week I'm going to Myrtle Beach. Like I'm doing a lot
I
of
like
shows.
I like Myrtle. I haven't performed there in a long time though, but I like Myrtle.
But the comic life thing, I'm trying to like delegate. You know what I mean? But it's
Yeah.
so hard to get good helps these days. Like we have a friend, Brandon Johnson, right?
Okay, yeah.
You know him, right?
Mhm.
So he has a podcast, and his producer is also his son. So I'm so pissed that I don't have any kids.
Do you
'Cause
know
I can just make him
Apple's-
produce my shit.
Apples, when we were leaving, we packed up after his episode and we left at the same time out of the studio. And he goes, man, he's like, it's a really great show. He's like, I'm very proud of you. He goes, plus, you made your own producer. What kind of cheat game hack is that? You know?
Well, my dad.
what did he call it?
Cheat code.
Cheat code. Yes.
My dad, when
Tell-
I was
tell I'm not a gamer.
when I was growing up, he would take me to all his shows, but he would put me on the soundboard and make me the sound guy to all his gigs.
Hey man, free labor.
He was like, "You're my son." Like, Dad, but you're not paying me. I do pay you. You're eating, right? You got clothes, I guess.
Yep.
But
I
I learned a lot thanks to that.
I was we were talking about pay. I don't know who I talked to about, but I was talking about being at the comedy club at the Improv, and they would give you a free food, and it was so good, some in the green room. And I'd ordered my food, and they were just swamped and didn't get it to me. And then then I had to go take the stage, and when I got back, my food was gone, and I was mad because it was like they ate part of my pay. Like I was like, you took my food, man. And they were like, it's just food. I'm like, yeah, but I ain't making the money that you're making.
That's kind of like at Cedar Creek. They give me a free plate for every show.
Yeah.
But I don't eat them all the time. So one day I did a show Tuesday. I didn't eat, so I go Wednesday. Hey, can I get that free plate? It was like, no. I'm like, why? I never get the free plate. I just won't give it to me today. What's the difference?
Right.
They didn't want to give me my free plate.
Now, I'm not trying to say this is the case, but I think it was the case. But Ari Shafir ate my food.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He and I were opening for Pauly Shore.
Oh, nice.
He and I were opening for Pauly Shore, and
Was that in 85?
no. God, not
I'm
maybe
kidding.
2005?
I'm kidding.
Maybe 2005
Yeah.
or 2004 or 2005. I was with Carrie at the time because he was very sweet to her, but I don't know if we were married yet. Well, the big thing for me is I don't give a shit if a comic is a dick or an asshole to me. But it's like when I introduce you to the people who came out to see me, or when I introduce you to my family,
Mm-hmm.
if you're nice to them,
Then that's fine.
you're good with me. That's a big rule for me. Like a comedian was sitting there at the table, and when my family came over, when I say my family, but pretty much whenever my family, maybe my son, maybe my wife would come over and meet them, sometimes my mom, they stood up, shook their hand. And I'm like, all right.
Nice.
Instead of like, hey, pleasure to meet you. Like it was just that respect. And I like that. I like that a lot. I'm very respectful to other people's people. And I kind of hope for the same in return.
Yeah, that's what we all hope for, man.
Yep. So yeah, you were talking about getting off work and having to go to the show.
Oh,
the
that's-
first night I had met you, I had come off a 36-hour shift.
Oh, yeah, you told me.
And I was sitting there at Odyssey, and I'm sitting on the couch, and I am just like in a daze. You come over and you're like, hey, man.
Are you fine?
How are you? And I'm like, yeah, man, I just got it. You're like, really? And I said, yeah. And I mean, I think I just switched my shirt out. I still had my pants, my tacticals on, and I still had, I think, my boots on. And I was like, hey, man, I'm not going to have enough time to stop home. I'm just going to have to, put a t-shirt on. And Apples was like, go ahead. And I got there and I was like, whew. And then I got up there and I think I did well. I think I did pretty good. I barely remember that night. It was quite the blur, but I think I did well. I think I surprised everybody.
You did really good.
Yeah,
I remember.
I think I surprised everybody. I surprised myself because having not been
Because
back
thanks
for
to
very
that
long.
show, I booked you on the Cedar Creek when we started doing
That's
Cedar
right.
Creek.
That's right.
You were the first lineup on Cedar Creek.
Nice.
And when we did our first show there, and I remember I'm always complaining, man, I work so much. And then when you told me you did 36 hours, like, I can't bitch anymore. that I work. But hey, you know what? I can be like, other than you, there's nobody else that works harder than me, other than you, because you have your like you do those very long shifts. The
Yeah.
longest shift I do is 11 hours, 5 days a week, and then I
Yeah.
get off my 11-hour shift. Like I get up at 5 in the morning to do the shift, and
Right.
then after work I go home, get changed, and I go out and maybe hit some clubs or
Yeah, well,
do a
last night-
show. Last night was
last
different,
night you were out and you said to me, you're like, hey man, any chance we could push back this taping a bit, push it, push forward, because I plan on going out tonight and having fun. And I said, no problem, like we'll take a later start. I mean, so then you text me and you were like, hey, are you guys going to be there like right now? Because apparently I can party till 4:45 and wake up at 8.
Yeah, it fucking sucks, dude. I like sleeping in, and I mean, I don't remember how to sleep in. I forgot when you
Just years and years of waking up early for the
Yeah,
job.
I just
And
woke up. I was like, it's 8. I can't. I got here at 4 o'clock in the morning. Why is and I couldn't go back to sleep. Had a nice time last night after the show. We went and hung out. We did karaoke. We went to a strip club.
that's what I'm saying.
Dude, it's funny because a black cat passed in front of me, and I'm
Uh-oh.
kind of like superstitious, but the bouncer said, hey, don't be afraid, be happy. I'm like, he goes, yeah, because that's the only free pussy you're gonna see tonight.
I like that. That's pretty funny. You even got
got you.
You even got him. Good job.
But that actually happened.
Yeah, I mean, hey.
I was like, I'm keeping that.
Yeah, man. I guess you got to have a really wicked sense of humor to be a doorman at a strip club.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Because you're seeing people of
All
walks, all types.
types of weirdos.
Yeah,
man.
and so you got to really
I'm
have
one
a
of them
good.
weirdos.
Yeah.
My family's gonna see this. Yeah, Mom, I was at a strip club.
Oh. Yeah, Mom.
I mean, that's just the least. I mean, that's just one of the craziest. I've done too many things. I should keep.
No, I mean, we're coming down to the end. We got a few minutes. Why don't you just let us have it, man?
Well,
Tell us all. No, I'm
So
joking.
the craziest shit I'm doing is Comic Life Productions. Follow us on Instagram,
Very good.
Facebook, all the socials. Just Comic Life Prod,
Prod, not Comic Life Pro, Comic Life Prod.
because productions. I had to
Gotcha.
shorten it. Comic Life was taken by somebody who has 0 followers.
Dang, so somebody locked it in and never did anything with
and-
it.
Yep, and then you can follow me on my personal one. Well, not it's my my personal social is at Mr. Neil Chris.
Mr. Neil
And
Chris.
you can find me there every platform too.
There we
Shows
go.
and all that.
Now, Neil Chris is not your real name.
It is
I mean, it's your real name, but your real name is your
my
birth
full
name
my
is-
government name.
is quite an impressive name.
It's long as fuck. It's Neil Christopher de Jesus Arzola.
Ain't that wild? That's
a
wild.
long ass name, dude.
Yeah, I don't
But
have...
hey, I'm glad that my dad named me Neil. He said it would help me slip under the radar. I get good jobs thanks to
Right,
being-
right.
I remember this one time I do a lot of sales. Like I've done a lot of sales jobs, and this guy was like he was happy that I sold him his alarm system or whatever. And when I'm gonna go meet him in person, he's like looking at when I get out of the car, he's just looking at me, squinting his face. So I can imagine he was like gonna say, "I thought you were white," but he said, "Oh, I thought you were taller." And I'm like, "Oh, okay."
He stutters. He stutters it
Yeah,
out.
I know what you meant.
The only Neil I think I know was Jewish, was a Jewish white
Yeah.
man. So that's the only Neil I think I personally have ever known. I mean, there's Patrick Harris and there's people in show business, but I mean, like personally, I've only known one Neil, and he was a white Jewish guy.
I mean, my dad told me the reason why they named me Neil was because on the day I was born, the 2 doctors that helped my mom give birth, they were both called Neil, and it was their birthday that same day,
That's neat.
and that's why they named me Neil.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a crazy.
I don't know how I got the name Ben. I think my mom said she named me after the bear.
After a clock,
No, Gentle Ben.
Big Ben.
No, Gentle Ben, the bear.
Oh,
I think
okay.
it was a show about a bear
I don't remember
or
that.
something. Gentle Ben. I don't know. It was before my time.
Oh,
Literally,
okay.
because I wasn't
From
born
the
yet.
40s?
You're an ass.
But I mean,
I was born in the 70s,
Oh,
man.
okay, but you said that cartoon was before your
No,
time?
it's not a cartoon. It's a live action bear, I think.
Oh.
Live show.
So they
I'm-
didn't even make cartoons back then.
No, people didn't know how to draw back then. I mean, how do you animate a slate? A freaking
Dude.
rock with chiseled out, stick figures. That's hard.
Mm-hmm. Oh, God, you went really back.
No, I like that. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you,
hanging
man,
with me.
for having me.
Once again, he did say Neil Chris is his name. Mr. Neil Chris on all your social medias there. Also on all your social medias, Comic Life Prod Productions. Comic Life Prod. Yes, that hat right there.
That's the logo.
And that's the logo. And seriously, thank you so much for snacking and
you.
yakking with me. And I think we're gonna get out of there on that note, man. Oh yeah, take your gummies with you.
Take my gummies. Look at this, diabetes.
Hey man, see you next week.
Thank you. Have a good night.
So many snacks. So many snacks. Hi. Well, thank you for watching another episode of Snackin and Yakkin. Do you want to be one of these names scrolling up the screen right now? Or maybe one of these photos in the frame right here? Well, it's very simple. You just join our Patreon. That's patreon.com/snackinyakkin. Membership levels start at $5 and go up to $15. And there's more perks the higher that you go. And let's face facts, you'd probably spend $5 on Starbucks or Subway next month anyway, right? But for your membership, it helps this show go, go, go. So thank you so much for stopping by patreon.com/snackinyakkin. And now, consider watching one of these two videos right here and going through the channel because there's plenty of show to go. And thank you for coming with me on my journey as I do some more